Welcome to another episode of My Awesome Podcast. I am Salim, and this is Mike. We have a lot to get to, so let's just jump in.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you something. I get a personal kick out of people's misconceptions about things, especially when it enters like public lore. You know,
Yeah.
like when people start repeating it, like it's canon or just a sure thing. Or even when I call people out, like that's misinformation. They go, that's what everybody says.
Yeah.
And I think that a consensus doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah.
It being backed up by facts makes it true.
Mm-hmm. True.
Okay, so I think this is one of them, and maybe I'm wrong. You know that dogs are colorblind, right?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Okay, are you colorblind?
No.
Not implying that you're a dog. I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
saying
no, no.
Human beings can
Yeah,
be
no.
colorblind too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I know that. Yeah, no.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
Okay, good. What do you think it's like to see like a dog?
Well, if dogs are colorblind, I don't know. I mean, I'll say like that they see in like black and white.
That's what I hear a lot.
Yeah.
And that's not
Yeah.
how it works.
Okay.
I think people think like color TVs, black and white TVs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in our eyes, because I'm not colorblind either, and unless you could be a rare human being that, and I forget the term, but there is a term where people can see more colors than most people.
Oh, okay.
And those people, that is very, very rare. They have 4 color receptors in their eye.
Yeah.
Okay, and each color receptor just allows you to see like different types of light, basically. Most, and the vast majority, have 3 color receptors, and that's probably what both of us have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so people who are colorblind, sometimes the reason why they're colorblind is they have 2 color receptors, and this is what dogs have. They just have 2. So they still see color. They just don't see the same spectrum that we see.
Mm-hmm.
So like one of my a family friend, he's colorblind, and he said before, like, and there's different types of color blindness. Like you can be blind to different parts of the spectrum. He has trouble with like blues and grays and stuff. Blues and grays all seem the same to him.
Yeah.
In fact, he's married. He has a family. And he said before, like his wife has said before, he'll come walking out of the bedroom and she's like, that doesn't match. And then he's like shirt and pants. And he's like, what are you talking about? She's like, you've got like 2 weird versions of blue. And he's like, oh, this isn't the same color. And she's like, no, it's not. Go here. Look, this shirt is the same shirt that you're wearing. It's just different color to look better. And after years, he's just like, yeah, okay. She knows more.
Yeah.
I can't see it. But I've never seen a really good like representation of what dogs see.
Mm-hmm.
And we played his videos on here before, Hank Green.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I saw one the other day and I thought, I want to talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so here it is.
You can't find this red squishy.
I kind of consider it my job to like see things on.
Now wait, let's just back that up for a second.
Okay.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
So this is red.
Okay.
So see, we're seeing it like the dog sees it.
Okay.
You can't find this red squishy.
So
I
it just
kinda
disappeared.
consider it
Yeah.
my job to
'Cause it
like
doesn't
see
look
things on
right.
TikTok and be like, is that real? That looks like it might be real, but is it real? Am I sure it's real? And I looked this up and it's freaking real. I was kind of surprised.
Well, we're seeing it like the way dogs would see it.
Okay.
So dogs have an issue with the color red.
Okay.
I was like,
He'll
this can't
explain.
be exactly what it, but like that's a pretty good approximation of what a dog would see. And it is wild that if you throw a red ball into a green grass, it looks like indistinguishable. I wanted to show you this, like, this is like the dog color spectrum and the human color spectrum. And like they lose the red, right? Like over here at the edge, you can't get as much of the.
Yeah. No, I find this very interesting. I do not own a dog, but now that I've seen this, I would think, wow, if I bought a toy, I'd make sure it's blue.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Because they seem to have much more, it just blue is like, or maybe white. Blue or white seems to be
Yeah. Very,
outside of the spectrum. Okay, so sorry.
The red color, and then they get a lot of the same blues, but a lot of the situation is over here where it is all just shades of like yellow. But more importantly, what the frick is this?
Yeah.
What? Like, that's a dog. And then the human spectrum is
It's
like,
evil.
I'm the goof man. And I have goof and I have special
That's
color
hilarious.
vision. I'm goofing you for
Okay, it makes a lot more sense now, right? Because like I've seen before where you throw like a certain color ball in the water,
Mm-hmm.
like a red ball, or an orange or something that it's definitely sticks out to us human beings.
Yeah.
And the dog is like, it doesn't know where it went.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to think, oh,
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
pretty interesting.
Yeah. In fact, all of my friends that own dogs, I'm going to be like, hey,
Yeah.
you know what you should do? You should change to like a bright blue ball.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be way different. Well, actually, at that point, maybe almost a dark blue or something.
Yeah, yeah, probably a darker. Yeah, one thing that I would love to know is like how do they measure a dog's vision, like on the color spectrum?
Well, I would say one, we know, like, I mean, I'm sure at some point somebody has dissected for science a
Yeah.
dog's
Yeah,
eye.
eyes, yeah.
But beyond that, I would say that you should be able to test a dog by, you could just put up something where, like, let's say in this scenario, if you had like let's say a green piece of paper, and then in front of it you stuck like a red symbol, and if you train the dog every time it sees the symbol to like put its paw up or something, or bark or something like that, and then you started doing that, you should be able to see what it can distinguish and what it can't.
Okay.
At least to me, that feels like an
Yeah,
easy
yeah.
test.
Okay. Nice, pretty interesting. Yeah, I've always heard like dogs are colorblind or whatever, but I've never I've owned a dog in the past, but I never gave it much consideration.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that it's black and white.
Yeah.
And I think, why would it be
Yeah,
black
yeah,
and white?
yeah.
And I think the deal is because we went from black and white TVs to
Yeah.
color TVs.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. Like,
Yeah.
like if our original TVs were green and white,
Yeah.
they might think, oh, maybe they can see green and white.
yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was this article that I saw. So before we get into that, though, so when you sneeze, which I don't know, I probably heard you sneeze before. It's just I'm not recalling anything right now.
Sure.
Are you a loud person that sneezes? Like, is it a
No, in fact, I mean, I make noise and it's not quiet,
yeah?
but those people that go over the top where they yell,
Oh yeah,
I hate that
yeah.
because that is controllable.
Okay,
If it was just like oh chew,
yeah,
but some of these people are like, and I'm just like,
yeah.
okay, you're obviously just being annoying because you're an asshole.
Are you sure? Because it's a very powerful thing.
It
that happens,
it is a powerful thing.
Well, I only ask because there's this article where this gentleman, I believe it's from Scotland, he went to sneeze, but he kind of like holds in his sneeze. You know, like, and have you done that before? Like held in a sneeze?
Yeah, I've tried
You
to
know,
be quiet and
yeah.
kind of half held it in.
Okay.
It doesn't feel great.
Yeah, yeah. I think I always worry like if I was like when I'm driving,
Mhm.
because I don't think I have like a real crazy sneeze, but you know, like if it hits me when I'm like turning or something, you know, I try to like hold it in and not go through the full motion. Well, gentleman in this article actually tore a hole in his throat by holding in a sneeze.
Yeah, I'll put the article you're talking about up on the screen
Yeah.
here. Yeah, that's messed up. Now, is it from what your throat to the outside, or was it just through your throat somewhere else on the
Yes,
inside?
on the inside.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So it wasn't. You couldn't see anything on the outside.
Right. Yeah, you couldn't see anything on the outside, but he sneezed, and like immediately after was feeling a whole lot of pain. Ended up going to the emergency and found out that he tore a hole in his throat, which I had no idea something like that could happen. I've heard like, you know, never hold in your sneeze, or that sneezes were like very powerful, that you can't sneeze with your eyes open type of thing.
Yeah, that's actually garbage.
Yeah.
I've heard that before too, and I've sneezed with my eyes
Yeah,
open.
yeah. Like, I don't know if I'm going to try because I don't know. When I sneeze, I'm not going to do
I've
any
heard that like your
experiments.
eyes pop out and stuff, and that's no.
Which I
In
don't.
fact, I think they tackled that on the MythBusters,
Yeah.
didn't they?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm
I
pretty
didn't-
sure that they did.
I don't think that like your eyes will pop out. I just never attempted to like hold my eyes like wide open and sneeze.
So have you
See
ever
what happens.
damaged yourself while sneezing?
No, aside from like the embarrassing things where like you might fart when you sneeze.
Yeah. We've all done that.
Yeah.
And it normally comes out kind of violent, and then you have to question things.
Well, hey, I don't. Maybe you.
I was
haven't
like,
dealt with anything like that before.
I will tell you, and I was telling you this a little bit off camera, but I have a cap on one of my molars, and it all started out with when I was a kid. I had a cavity, and then cavities actually they don't last forever, and so the cavity had broken down, and then I got some other tooth damage, and they were like, "Well, it's because this cavity is bad." So they had to drill it out again, and they were like, "Wow, we're really drilling out a lot of your tooth at this point. We should really cap it." And I was like, "Well, if you could save my tooth, that would be the best." So they tried really hard to do that. They had to drill out a lot, and they're like, "Your tooth wall isn't super wide anymore." And they're like, "We'd recommend a cap." And I'm like, "Well, let's just see how this works." And I would say, I think it was like a couple years after they did that, there was a point where I sneezed really hard and I clenched my jaw.
Yeah.
And I felt something. And then in my mouth, there was a little piece of enamel because I had cracked the corner of my tooth. It was already a weakened tooth.
Right.
But I went to the dentist and I was like, "Hey," and she looks and she was like, "Yeah, this is exactly why I said you should have a cap." And she goes, "And at this point, you don't really get much say in it. You're getting a cap." And I was like, "Okay." So yeah, I've kind of hurt myself.
Okay. Yeah.
It wasn't good.
Yeah, I haven't had anything like that. So I guess mine's just kind of minor compared to that.
Just the accidental sneeze fart.
Yeah. And you know what? You know the worst thing?
And then you don't even go check.
Yeah, the worst thing is that it happened one time when I was in high school, when I was in class.
You ever do it so hard it kind of hurts a little?
No, what are you talking about? Oh yeah, when I was in high school, I was in like economics class, and it happened at all the wrong time because I raised my hand to answer a question, so everyone was like looking at me to answer this question, and then I answered the question, and right after that I sneezed, and then I had a sneeze fart, so all eyes were on me like the whole time. There's nothing I could do. I can't be like, "Oh, that was Linda over there."
No, what you do is you just point to the corner of the room, and you just say, "It was the dog," even though you're in class and I know there's no dog there. That makes it additionally funny because then everyone will look over and be like, "Nice." One of the things I wanted to bring up, and it's because I've seen there's another YouTuber that did a video on this, and oh man, now I'm gonna butcher a name. I should have wrote it down. I believe. Well, you know what? I'm not going to say it because I'm going to probably get it wrong. Okay. But the point is that she talked about a new supersonic jet that NASA is developing, and they're developing it with Lockheed Martin. Now, Lockheed Martin has made military jets for a very long time, and they are responsible for some of the secret spy planes that we've had, stealth planes that we've had. They have a division that started a very long time ago by one of their designers called Kelly Johnson. And that division was called Skunk Works. And it just meant that it was like super, super secret and no one should talk about it if Skunk Works was handling it. In fact, internally, if you heard something, like if you asked a question and people would just be like, Skunk Works, it kind of meant, hey, shut up. Like, you're not supposed to talk about that. But they're doing something that is not super secret. But they have a lot of talent over there in the Skunk Works division. And NASA is working with Lockheed to make an airplane that's called the X-59. Now, it's a demonstration airplane, and X means experimental. So like with fighter jets, like there'll be an F, or with bombers, there'll be a B, or cargo planes will be a C. So X is just just trying to figure out something. And now what they learned from this experimental plane, they can then use that technology and put it in other planes. The deal with the X-59 is it is a sonic boom, it is a low sonic boom demonstration plane. And what that means is when you break the sound barrier, what happens is that air gets compressed so much in front of the airplane it actually kind of it gets compressed to a point where it actually kind of breaks or snaps. And then that creates on the ground a sonic boom. There's always two booms. The second boom is as the air flies over the aircraft and slams back together behind the back of the airplane, that creates a second sonic boom. So in the past, we did have one commercial airliner that could go faster than the speed of sound, which was the Concorde. We don't have that anymore. And when we first got the Concorde, or I should say Air France and British Airways, I don't know why I was forgetting that, got that, almost all countries prohibited it from flying supersonic over land because people on the ground didn't want to deal with a sonic boom, because they just thought it was just going to be a loud, like thunderous thing all the time as all these planes kept flying over. And so they just banned them. So there was really only 4 over the ocean, which kind of really limited when you can use them. And they were very expensive to develop and create in the first place. So they weren't very financially successful. So this new plane, and I'll put it up on the screen right now. Like I think the cockpit is from like an F-16. I'm not sure where the jet is from. The Delta wings are kind of a design that was very similar for Concorde, with the canards in the front, which are the small winglets in the front. And they've created this super long nose. And the point of all of this is when you're flying through the air, you need to be able to kind of slice through the air in a certain way to lessen. Not all sonic booms are the same, is where I'm trying to go with this.
Okay.
If you're more of a blunt object flying through the air, then you're going to make a louder sonic boom. And if you're more of like a knife edge, you're going to make a smaller sonic boom. The other thing is that any little thing like a little inlet or maybe like a sensor or something like that, all of those things can cause sonic booms. And so they have placed them all above the delta wing here. So the largest, because if you look at a sonic boom, it's like if you ever seen like the slow-mo guys show you a bullet going through the air.
Oh, yeah.
It's super slow-mo. And there's like rings coming off of it.
Yeah.
That's what this is like. So the sonic boom is going in all directions.
Okay.
And the majority or the loudest parts of the sonic boom are going up. So away from the ground. So they're hoping to get this to the point where the sonic boom is as loud as a car door closing from, I believe, 50 feet away. Which, to be honest, like when I'm at the grocery store and I hear other people getting in and out of their car, I'm not even really noticing it because I don't really care. And so I think if they can achieve this, a couple things could happen. One, the ban for flying over the ground could be lifted. And then 2, technology has come a long way since the humanity created the Concorde. We could see supersonic flights again. Which means if you want to fly from, let's say, the East Coast to the West Coast, I mean, depending on the time, it could be an hour and something flight, maybe even less than an hour, depending on how fast you're going, which just makes it extremely interesting to me. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but like, who is flying maybe from one coast to the next? Because that's not going to be like a commercial plane. That's like a...
No. This plane is used to demonstrate that their ideas will work. And then that'll be translated into a commercial airplane.
Okay.
That'll seat hundreds of people.
Interesting.
Yeah. And the technology looks so, I don't know, interesting. I should say. I'm at a loss for words staring at it. But several airliners in the United States have already placed orders with a couple different companies. One of the companies is called Boom. And they say that they want to make supersonic jets for passengers. But it's interesting, right?
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, have you ever flown out to like Vegas or California? I mean, from here, that takes a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just barely longer to fly to England.
Yeah.
It's just a couple hours longer.
Yeah.
Which just feels nuts to me because I mean, the United States is big. I don't think a lot of people
Oh
realize
yeah,
it.
no, yeah. It is a huge. It is a
Like
huge
if you
country.
take a map of Europe and lay it over the United States,
Yeah.
just the continental United States,
Yeah,
the United States is a lot bigger.
yeah,
And I don't think people realize that
Mm-hmm.
that don't live here. That flying from one side of the country to the other is like over 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a long time.
Oh yeah,
And if we could just cut that down, I think that would be great.
yeah, yeah.
Plus,
Nice.
I want to travel faster.
Oh
inside.
yeah, yeah. I know you like driving fast or flying fast. Right
Well,
up there.
on the nerd side of me, I just want to be able to say that
yeah,
I've moved faster than sound. I think that
Oh,
would
yeah,
be
yeah.
interesting. Even though inside the plane, it's totally quiet.
yeah,
Like the Concorde, you didn't know when you were breaking the sound barrier. They actually had a little digital display up towards the cockpit
yeah.
that the passengers could look up and be like, "Oh, we're moving Mach 2."
Mm.
They had no idea.
Yeah.
It was quiet on the
Yeah.
airplane because you're moving faster than sound.
Mm-hmm. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about, I didn't have an article or a video for this, but I just wanted to ask a few questions of you. So this time of year, we're actually coming up close to the new year.
Yeah.
I don't know when this video will be releasing, maybe after that, but do you usually do things to celebrate the new year coming up?
I used to. I remember as a kid, my parents sometimes would have a party, have a handful of people over. It wasn't a big party; it was just a couple people or whatever. And sometimes they would have kids of their own. Sometimes there would be a sleepover.
Yeah.
I remember that we'd basically be able to stay up until just past midnight, and then we go to bed.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, all the adults would leave, or their friends would leave, and everyone would go to bed. As like a young adult, I like in my 20s, I told you that I lived in Chicago for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would pay for like entry to bars. It's almost like a private party that night on most bars, and you got to pay some type of cover fee.
Yeah.
But generally, you get some type of alcohol included and some food, and that was fun.
Yeah.
As someone who's in my mid 40s, I'll tell you, last year I didn't even stay up.
Oh, what?
Or you know what? No. It was 2 years ago I fell asleep before it happened. Last year, now I remember, I was doing something else. I was drinking, but I was alone, and there was no party or anything. And I think I had just eaten something. And then for some reason I checked the time, and I was like, oh, I guess it's the new year.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess I don't care. Do you guys do anything?
I mean, we try to stay up to like watch the ball drop on some channel. We don't really go anywhere, not with the kids or anything, but we let them stay up too, see if they'll make it.
I think it's as like a little kid. I mean, you're just doing it once a year.
Right.
I always thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, have you done any like resolutions or anything like that in the past? Would you make New Year's? No. No, you didn't like get into that or enjoy.
No, I'm like one of those people that if I just want to change things, I just change things.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a ton of problems right now, and I know exactly how to change them. And the reason why I'm not changing them is because I don't feel like it.
Yeah, but like it's a brand new year. Like it's almost like a clean slate type of thing. You can view it as that. And,
Yeah, I don't have magical thinking. We've talked about this.
Yeah, but
I don't need some special day.
yeah.
I could just do it.
Okay, I'm just saying because starts January 1st, so you can be like, you know what, it's a brand new year. Let me go ahead and do these things because I want to make some changes. I'm just, as a motivation, new year, new you.
Okay. Well, I can relate a little bit. I'll tell you years ago, and this was like 10 years ago, I remember I had broken up with my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, man, I just want to start dating again and get back out there. And I had let myself go a little bit while I was dating her. And so I instantly, first of all, it was a couple days of drinking. And then after that, I got that out of my system.
Yeah.
And I started eating healthy, not drinking, exercising every day.
Yeah.
I work 4.5 miles from work, and I just stopped driving.
Oh, okay.
I just started walking.
Yeah.
So I was getting in like 9 miles a day.
Nice.
I got in 3 or 4 months, I got pretty ripped.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's not say
yeah.
ripped. I was skinny, and for the first time, people were like, "Dude, do you have muscles?" I'm like, "I do."
Yeah. Nice.
But that was just because,
Yeah.
well, I wanted to look good to meet new girls.
Okay.
But no, not on a day.
Okay. And then, like, I know you just said you don't have magical thinking, but have you? So, I mean, I guess I take that as you've never done any type of, I guess, tradition things or superstitions, like
No,
eat certain foods, nothing like that,
no,
because you don't believe in like any type of luck or nothing like. Nothing
no.
like that.
And we've talked how many times about I'm a sciencey guy.
Yeah.
So there's sometimes like when I'm outside at night, especially like in the summer, I'll look up at the stars, and when I say shooting star, I don't make a wish. I go, "Hey, did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Oh, there's another one."
Did your family do anything like that? Like any traditional things on New
No,
Year's?
I don't think so. They might have.
You know, bang some pots as a
No,
or,
no.
cook certain foods.
No, it's Michigan. Don't you mean shoot some
Oh,
guns
yeah,
off or something? No, they didn't do anything like that.
Yeah.
Although they do tend to hold on to tradition more than me, so it wouldn't surprise me if they were like, "Oh, for the new year, we want to do this." But I think they look at that as more of like a traditional thing.
Oh, okay. I know that when I was growing up, I grew up with my grandparents, and they would always make black eyed peas.
Okay,
You know, I think
the
they
band.
yeah, and maybe they ate something else too, maybe like salmon or something. I don't know. Black eyed peas and salmon sounds gross.
Yeah, that does sound gross. That's
But
because I hate fish.
yeah. But I know that there's other people who would like like wear white, to bring in the new year, or like maybe a certain other article of clothing, just wear that, and you never got into anything like that just for fun, even.
I mean, we used to dress up when we went out to bars,
Yeah, I mean, just to look nice.
but that was because there was generally a dress code.
Yeah, no, like smashing the plates as the clock strikes midnight or whatever.
So you said clock, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
What?
You know what?
Here's the thing. I don't know where you're getting this smashing the plates and banging the pans thing. Do people do that?
Yeah, those are things like as a a sign of good luck, or maybe like smashing plates, as to like rid out all that old energy from the new year, and to bring in something new.
No.
Okay, well, I don't know if I mean, I'll probably just stay up till midnight. I don't really have any resolutions, but who knows? As the day gets closer, I might think of some resolutions for fun, and maybe I'll get the kids on some superstitious things like eating some black eyed peas.
You know what you should do? You should just put on black eyed peas at midnight and tell your kids that it's a new tradition.
Yeah.
And then maybe when they grow up and they have kids, they'll do it too, and then you can sit back and go, I made that up. One of the things I saw in the news recently, and this will show how far back we are on editing, because we're a couple of weeks behind. We try to create some type of buffer in case something happens, But there's been a lot of earthquakes in Iceland. And here, let's play the video and then we'll talk about it.
Here's what's been happening in Iceland. Since October 24th, there have been thousands of earthquakes in Iceland, with an astonishing 1,000 in just 2 hours. It's been happening all day, every day, leading scientists to believe that an eruption is imminent. Iceland sits above a hotspot and two major tectonic plates, the Eurasian and North American, which are moving away from each other, a phenomenon you can literally see. All of this causing Iceland to be one of the most volcanically active places on Earth, with a volcanic eruption occurring every 4 to 5 years on average. The data suggests there's a growing river of magma, about 9 miles long, running underground in the southwest corner of Iceland, and the eruption could occur anywhere along that line. The ground has already begun to open up in spots as the landscape shifts, causing an evacuation last week in a town of 3,400 people. While geothermal activity is a totally common occurrence on Iceland, this is a lot, but this doesn't appear to have enough power to destroy Iceland.
I saw that and I was thinking, wait a second. Because she said sometimes hundreds of earthquakes in an hour, in a couple hours.
Yeah.
So I looked this up. How many earthquakes to date do you believe have happened in Iceland for this year?
Okay, for this year, with all those things going on, probably like 1,000.
Okay. The number is 20,000.
20,000?
Yeah. That's That's messed up. When she said all day, every day,
Yeah.
that it really has to be
Yeah.
a lot. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's like
20,000.
yeah. It's like a nonstop earthquake almost. Like
Yeah, and one of them,
golly.
and not of them are all of them are small. One of
Yeah.
them was 4.5.
oh yeah, that's pretty.
Or no,
significant.
I'm sorry, 5.4. Yeah, 5.4.
Yeah, still.
That's just unbelievable.
Yeah. Because what the max is a 10, like a 10 point some earthquake is a
Well, I think 10 is the max. I don't know I don't know what a 10 would mean.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been, I think there's been 9s.
yeah and yeah
You know, we don't really get, well,
no
technically we get earthquakes here, but they happen like once every 100 years,
Yeah.
and they're so slight that people are saying things like, "Oh yeah, I thought like a truck drove by."
yeah.
And it's like, no, okay,
Yeah.
but
But yeah, I mean, I was just
I find
saying
the whole
because,
thing messed up.
Yeah, a 5 is significant. Like if you're just looking at the scale, I mean, yeah,
yeah, and I love Iceland is such a unique place. The fact that you can see the two tectonic plates
Yeah.
moving apart,
yeah,
and not half, but part of the island's on one side, part of the island's on the other side, and they're getting volcanic eruptions every 5 years. I mean, I almost feel like people would just be totally used to it by then. Like, it erupted again, whatever.
right.
So I've never heard of this many earthquakes happening at once. Maybe it's because I'm not paying attention to what's going on in Iceland that often. Maybe I should be. I don't know.
Yeah,
But I'm wondering, is this leading up to something big?
I don't know. That it could be. I mean, with having so much, like how large of a volcanic eruption is this going to be if all this other activity is still happening on this scale like this? Or
I don't know. I don't
know.
know. Does this signal something really big?
Yeah,
Or it just signals something that I don't know.
yeah,
It's interesting though,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
You said you saw something in the news about them having more earthquakes, but maybe not as many as
Yeah, not as many as that. I didn't realize
Yeah.
it was that significant.
20,000 tremors.
Yeah, that's insane. Because that's like easily like 1 an hour. You know.
Oh, and I guess that was, now that I'm reading the article I had, that was up to November 10th.
Oh, okay.
So we're already past that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And by the time this comes out, even farther past it.
Yeah, and then who knows? I mean, if that, yeah, I don't know what all those tremors and other earthquakes will mean for a volcanic eruption, but at some point, it's like it's gotta come to a head, and something's gonna happen. So for the last thing that I wanted to talk about, I recently saw in the news that, which I know that this has probably been a topic or a debate that's been going on for a couple of years. But in California, they're looking to find a way to turn the sewage into drinking water. And I believe that it was like put on a ballot for people to vote on. So if they're going to move forward with this, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I think that after reading some of this article, I know that like the science is there. I just don't think I don't think I can do it. I don't think I would. I don't know. I can't convince myself that I would be able to vote okay with this.
Okay, so it's just a mental thing. It's like when you go to another country and they serve something that you personally think is gross, even though humans have been eating it for a very long time,
Yeah,
and it's totally normal
yeah,
for you,
yeah.
but you're like, I'm not putting snails in my mouth.
Yeah, I guess. And even though, like, okay, so like I said, I mean, I know that this is because I have tap water right now. I know that, you know, it's filtered and purified and all that. But is it sewage?
Kind of. You know what? I'm going to tell you kind of.
Yeah.
Because if you really think about it, when people drink water and then later on relieve themselves, at some point, it ends up back on the earth. And then the earth filters it. In fact, people who don't have a sewer system, like I live in a rural area, and I have a septic system. So I have a drain field.
Yeah.
And then there's certain stuff that makes it to the drain field. Not the main stuff. The main stuff stays in the tank.
Yeah.
But then the ground basically filters it. So if you think about it, all the human beings that have come before us,
Yeah.
especially before we had infrastructure, who just relieve themselves on the ground,
Yeah.
plus all the animals, gets filtered by the earth,
Yeah.
and then we drink it.
Yeah.
So you're kind of already doing that is where I'm going.
Yeah, I guess.
Then the other side of this is that's what they do on the space shuttle and the space station.
Yeah.
They have like a closed loop system where they bring up so much water and then they drink it and then they expel it and then they process it
Yeah.
and then they drink it again.
Yeah. Yeah. And they know this? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
And I'm just saying, astronauts are constantly being studied for science by doctors to make sure that they're okay, but also to learn things. Seems to be fine for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Plus, you saw a couple years ago the whole thing with Bill Gates had that contest through his foundation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that was to clean up.
Yeah.
It was basically to turn poo water into drinking water.
Yeah. But so here's the thing. This is the other thing that I was thinking about too, is that like everything that goes into the ground, yeah, I don't know. So even
What are you trying to say here?
yeah.
You're doing this thing where you like
Yeah,
a bunch
okay.
of words are coming out,
I know,
but they're
I
not
know.
strung together into a sentence.
I know only because I didn't want to think too deep into this, but even like blood from the morgue, like that has to go down the drain. That doesn't get processed separately. Like, doesn't that just get washed
Well, I don't
into
know
the
about
sewage
that.
too?
That might end up in a landfill or something. I don't know. That's a bit more of a biohazard, I believe. I could be wrong though.
Yeah.
I mean, human waste. I don't know.
Because what would be worse? What would be worse if they told you that like there's like blood in your water that gets filtered out, or poo?
Well, okay. Let me ask you this. I know last year that you were out in the lake with your kids,
Yeah.
and you know that all the fish don't get out to use the bathroom and then get back in the lake, right?
What? Are you serious? No.
Or all the seagulls I see, or all the other
Yeah.
animals. You're basically just swimming in animal poop.
Yeah. 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 Which is I know that.
I mean, it's kind of cleaned up by some of the plant life and things like that, but
Yeah.
I don't know. When I get out of the lake, I take a shower generally,
Yeah.
or hose off
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I know that. That's not the same.
But that doesn't gross you out to the point where you don't want to get in.
Well, it kind of does.
It does?
Sometimes I think about that.
So what would be a perfect scenario if you were like in a sterile pool?
Yeah, probably. Or if I don't know, if you swim if you just don't think about it.
But you can't run a jet ski in a pool. Well, I mean, you could, but
Oh yeah,
it's not as fun as just being out on the lake.
yeah. I know that this is very practical. That this could be a game changer, but it's still the science still just doesn't still hard to click with me. I don't know.
I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. It's just
Frankly, with the number of people living on the planet, and especially in like highly dense areas, I think we should do something to clean it up.
yeah.
I would actually say, and I'm just going to briefly say this, and we can talk about this more in depth on another one of my nerd out sessions on the show. But there's a technology called plasma gasification, where basically they use electricity to create plasma, and plasma is just like a state, like solid, liquid, gas, and then super excited gas would be plasma.
Yeah.
And what they can do is they use plasma to get rid of garbage or any type of waste, and you can use it for human waste. And what it actually ends up doing is it ends up creating what's called syngas, which is gas that you can use to run another generator, which then that electricity can go into running the machine. And then the other byproduct is obsidian. So like, like glass rock, like charred.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that stuff can be ground up and used in all kinds of things like like tile or blacktop for like streets and things like that. So we could take it a step further, take all of the liquid, purify it, and then re-drink it. And we could take all of the solid and one, make electricity, and two, create a recyclable product that we could use to like build roads or cement or tiles for your house or whatever. You imagine that? What if you had a tile countertop made out of human poo, or once was human poo, with a faucet that dispensed
all the, you know what?
The cleaned up poo water.
Okay.
Full circle there.
Yeah.
And you can prepare your meal right there.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm done with that topic. I don't want to think about all that mess.
All right. Well, good job in bringing it up.
Yeah. Make sure you leave some comments and some feedback on anything that we talked about and let us know.
Especially the poo water.
Yeah. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.